if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. My name is Zoe and this is my channel, Ms. Manga, where I talk a lot about manga. And today I'm going to be ranking 5 popular ongoing shonen titles that I recently read the first volumes of and judge them on a criteria of 3 factors. One is the amount of action, because I mean, when I think shonen, I tend to think action. Not all of them have the most amount of action, but you know, are the action scenes easy to follow? Are they enjoyable? Am I, excited to read the action? Because sometimes it doesn't translate as well on manga, so, And second factor will be eagerness to read the next volume. Does it end in a way, most likely a cliffhanger of sorts, that just really makes me want to pick up that next volume and keep reading? And third factor is just my overall enjoyment. Did I like the characters? Was the plot interesting and pull me in? And even like the art, did I enjoy the art and looking at the panels? So yeah, those are my criteria. So for each volume, I'm going to just summarize what the story is about, what the first volume is about. This might include mild spoilers for the first volumes. And secondly, I'm going to talk about my opinions, how I felt when I was reading it. And then in the end, I'm going to do my ranking. I mean, honestly, I'm not that harsh, and these are just my opinions, obviously. Even if your favorite shonen first volume gets the lowest spot, don't be upset, because it's just the first volume. The overall series, I am not critiquing. I'm still gonna keep collecting all of these series, and not one of them did I think was bad in any capacity. Just because it comes in last place, someone has to come in last place. Please don't hurt me in the comments. But, do let me know your opinions. I am open for discussion. Just be nice, please. So, I'm afraid, but let's just jump into it. These are in no particular order, and I'm just starting off with My Hero Academia. So this takes place in a world where the majority of people have quirks, aka superpowers, essentially, and the most sought after career is being a superhero. But for Midoriya, our protagonist, who is born without a quirk, how can he hope to achieve his dream of becoming a hero? So that's the premise of the series. If you hadn't heard anything about it, which I don't know how you haven't, it's super popular. And yeah, I would equate this series to a Naruto type story. I don't know if that will anger people, but Midoriya doesn't act out like Naruto is, but he's an optimistic hard worker. And then there's a whole group of kids learning and training to hone their ninja skills. I mean, superpowers. I'm sorry, it's super similar to Naruto. If you've read Naruto and you like Naruto, you'll probably like My Hero Academia. Obviously, also, if you like Marvel or superhero stories in general, you'll probably like it. So with that being said, we'll just go right into my thoughts on this. So, Bakugo? I despise Bakugo. Let's talk about how much of an asshole he is. Oh my god, I wanted to reach into the pages and punch him for Midoriya. And I'm not a huge fan of Midoriya. I mean, he's a bit of a whiny do-gooder. It's not my personal favorite protagonist. That being said, Bakugo is way worse. On the other hand, I do like the messages being instilled in just the first volume, its core concepts of being a hero. Hero work isn't always about saving the day. It's about doing the right thing. It's what, it should be if you're going to be a hero. If you're going to be a good person, really. And honestly, even if it's the same kind of formula and setup that I've seen before in shonen, it still tugged at my heartstrings. I mean, it's a good formula for a reason, right? You know, if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? That's the saying. That's how it goes. And it does like still make me feel something. And you'll just have to wait and find out where it ends up in my overall rankings. Second up in the first volume shonens is Jujutsu Kaisen. So this is a story about an abnormally strong student, Yuji, who encounters a cursed object at his school, and because of this ends up unleashing a dangerous curse in his school and on his friends. So in an effort to save them, he swallows the cursed object, which, by the way, is a disgusting, nasty finger. So kudos to him for going that far for some friends. Am I shallow? Because I'd be like, my bitch, I'm not swallowing that. That's nasty. All right, so that says more about me, I think, than it does about Yuji. But anyway, this is the finger of Sakuna, who happens to be a special grade cursed spirit. And now the choice is up to Yuji whether he wants to become a jujutsu sorcerer and stay alive while he collects and eats the rest of Sakuna's fingers and then be executed, or just be executed. So it's a nice generous offer of them, isn't it? Obviously he decides to prolong his execution as much as possible, so he becomes a jujutsu sorcerer fighting cursed spirits with his fellow teammates. And yeah, I would say this to me is kind of a mashup. We got the darker, more spirit realm side of the world, like in Bleach, and then we have the, you know, kids learning to fight threats, essentially going to a school and learning to be the best jujutsu sorcerers or ninjas, aka Naruto. So in general, I think if you just like shonen, you like this one. I think it's super solid. And at least to me, Yuji is endearing for the most part rather than annoying. I find him like endearing to a fault. He's a little bit unhinged. I mean, who swallows a finger? Like, come on. I don't know. He's special. Overall, I think Jujutsu Kaisen starts off pretty strong with a good amount of action that I appreciated. Third up, we have Chainsaw Man. So this one has recently kind of blown up and become super popular. I found the first volume interesting, we'll say. This story begins with Denji, our main protagonist, who has a pet devil dog and a crap ton of debt that he's working to pay off when he is tricked and attacked by a devil. He essentially dies, but his dog Pochita gives Denji his heart so he can live, thus transforming him into Chainsaw Man, half human, half devil. So I would say this is more similar to series like Jujutsu Kaisen. My biggest problem with the first volume of Chainsaw Man is that the characters are a bit of a mixed bag and half-baked. I can see potential in them. They are interesting and definitely not your cookie cutter good guys that you see over and over and over again in shonen. So it is refreshing in that way. However, you know, Denji's motivations are pretty shallow, like, you know, just wanting to live a regular, easygoing life, which is understandable. But then once he achieves that, his new goal is just to touch boobies. I guess I have to be a teenage boy. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't understand. The other characters were even more unlikable to me. And obviously we only get these small snippets of the other characters, and I love a morally gray character. But in volume 1 anyway, their main characteristics so far have just been violent, manipulative, selfish. Find it hard to know who I would get behind or be able to root for or just like in this series. If I had to sum up how I felt about the first volume of Chainsaw Man, it would literally be the quotation, "It was good, but ... That's it. It was good, but like, I don't know how to put into words overall how I felt about this one. So yeah, maybe that's what people like, is that it's just different. Overall, mixed bag feelings on Chainsaw Man. And our fourth contender is Kaiju number 8. So this is a series about Kafka, who works on the disposal unit helping to dismantle kaiju corpses after the special task force slaughters them. So this is a world in which giant kaiju monsters repeatedly appear and start decimating the city, and special forces have to destroy the monster, and our main protagonist just goes and cleans up the corpses of the giant monsters. And he's failed to pass the exam to become part of the Defense Special Task Force, and has essentially given up when he meets a spirited younger new recruit, and coincidentally ends up with some strange kaiju powers of his own. So that is the outline of volume 1, and this volume really had me giggling. Like, it was a good mix of humor and action, and it kind of just made me equate it to later volumes of Gintama, when it really balances the humor and the action. When Gintama starts, it's a lot more humor driven than action, but as it gets going, there's this great balance I love, that it hits perfectly between humor and action. And the first volume I felt really embodied what I love about Gintama. So I gotta say, like, I'm really hopeful for the rest of the series. It made me excited because I do love humor in my action series. I don't know, but it literally had me laughing out loud and I was reading it. I mean, if I can find an image of the scene where he has to go to the bathroom and how that happens, I don't know if I should show it, but it is, maybe my humor is the problem. Maybe I'm just so immature. The bathroom humor gets me. I was dying. There were other moments, but that one really had me dying, cackling, like I was just lost. Oh, anyway, other than that, I think there's also a good amount of action in this first volume. Our protagonist, Kafka, who, by the way, I forgot to mention, is older. He's actually 32. The younger, spirited new recruit, obviously he's 18, so you get a little bit of, younger protagonist, older protagonist. Despite the action and the comedy, I think it already gives you a distinct impression of a few of our main characters, and they are flawed but likable already. I can see where I will enjoy them moving forward, or at least I hope to. Our fifth and final shonen is Spy Family. So Spy Family is about a spy, Lloyd, codename Twilight, who has been assigned a new mission to infiltrate an elite school. And to do that, he must acquire a child and a wife, which makes him very flummoxed. He likes to work alone, but he accepts his mission and goes and adopts a young girl named Anya, who just so happens to have a secret of her own. She can read minds. So she knows Lloyd, her new adopted dad, is a spy. And then they coincidentally bump into the perfect wife specimen, Yor, who just happens to be an assassin. Because of course, why not? And together they make up an oddball family who each have their own desire for this fake family unit to work out. I think it's a really funny, enjoyable first volume. I mean, again, kind of with Kaiju number 8, I was laughing with this one. It made me smile, it made me chuckle, especially Lloyd and Anya's inner dialogues and reactions. Anya especially. I mean, I've seen some people find her annoying, but having worked with children for a large portion of my life, yeah, it's pretty good depiction of a child. A little bit annoying, but a likable and adorable kid, so I enjoy her. Overall, I feel like the 3 main characters are really likable. We get a decent amount of characterization, at least concerning their personalities in this first volume. We don't get much of backstories on them, but obviously that's like a little, giving us little breadcrumbs of mysteries that keep you reading, because while this has some great humor and great characters, there isn't a lot of action to keep you reading. So I definitely think having those little mystery elements, and then of course their family dynamic, will keep readers reading. We got older protagonists again with Lloyd and Yor at least, and I really enjoy all 3 of their characters. Okay, that was all 5 of our first volume popular ongoing shonen, and it is now time to begin the ranking. The ranking wars. So serious. So we have My Hero Academia. I scored it 2 out of 5 for action. It's not a lot of action, and the action it does have are, All Might's gonna save him in the first altercation, and the other one is a test, so it's rather low stakes. I scored it a 3 out of 5 for the desire to keep reading. Honestly, I was surprised how moved I was by Deku finally achieving his dreams, and now he just needs to kind of hone and control his quirk. And lastly, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars for characters, plot, and art. I overall thought the art was very solid, very clean, and the characters are very distinct and interesting. I actually really enjoy the character designs of the series. It's probably one of my favorite, more standout aspects to it. Just how, they go really fun with the heroes and their concepts and their outfits and stuff. And the characters are overall likable. I mean, they lost a point with Bakugo. Bakugo comes in way too hard. I mean, he is like Sasuke at a bajillion. I mean, he is so rude and so annoying. Sasuke was like, you're beneath me, Naruto. But Bakugo goes like, I'm gonna bite your face in. That's the energies. And it's like, whoa, Bakugo, calm down. Overall, it relies on the more traditional shonen formula, but it sticks the landing. And it makes you want to root for the protagonist and follow his journey. And honestly, that's a good shonen. That's a solid shonen and a solid start to a series. So we'll just stick it here for the time being until it gets bumped one way or the other. So next up we have Jujutsu Kaisen. And for our first factor, I gave it a 4 out of 5 for action. I actually thought the action in this first volume was really well done. I was really sucked in and excited for each consequential action scene that occurs. And the last one definitely made me want to read more. So my desire to continue reading was a 4 out of 5. If I had the second volume next to me, I most likely would have picked it up just to see how they get out of the battle with this curse. And lastly, for overall enjoyability, characters, plot, everything, I gave it a 3 out of 5. I liked the characters, but I didn't love them. I liked the art, but I didn't think it was the best art. and I liked the plot, but I didn't think it was super, super original or anything. So because they were all kind of, yeah, they're average in all three. So it gets an average score, pretty much. I think the action is the standout and the reason that I'd keep reading, and it's slightly darker tone and edge to it. I would put Jujutsu Kaisen just above My Hero Academia. Did I enjoy My Hero Academia? Yes. But I would rather read the second volume of Jujutsu Kaisen than the second volume of My Hero. So that's why Jujutsu Kaisen's going a little bit above My Hero Academia. And that's the current standing. And next up we have Chainsaw Man. So Chainsaw Man, I gave the action 4 out of 5 stars. It was messy, but it gets away with being messy because it kind of adds to that gritty nature of the story. And to me, the action was pretty good. I could have done with more of it. That would have made me happy. I would probably give it like a 3.5, but like I'm not going to be picky. So anyway, my desire to read more was like a 3.5 out of 5. If the second volume was next to me, I might keep reading. Like, yes, it ends on a cliffhanger in the middle of a battle, but to me, I'm kind of like, like save the cat, but like also like, yeah, I don't know. These characters are kind of weirdos. So I'm less invested to see what happens with them other than the poor kitty's safety. And my overall enjoyment, the characters, plot, and art, I gave a 2 out of 5. I didn't think the characters were that likable, but I thought the art was interesting, adds to the tone of the story, and that's all I'm gonna say. Read it yourself and you can decide. And then the plot, I thought, again, was, I don't know, it was alright. It was just kind of, we'll see what happens. Feels like something between a shonen and a seinen. If you tend to read more seinen, you might like this. Overall, I have to say it's going in last place for me right now. I know that might ruffle some feathers. There's definitely a growing fan base for Chainsaw Man, and I'm not saying subsequent volumes will not make me excited and fall in love with the characters or become a favorite shonen of mine. I'm just saying the first volume itself of these 3 so far have made me less enthusiastic, the least enthusiastic. We have Kaiju number 8. I'd give a 4 out of 5 for the action. I think really solid action gives you a good amount. Just like Jujutsu Kaisen, I think these 2 were the action heavy ones. If you want shonen because you want fights, I mean, I know there's going to be more fights in the others, I'm sure, but these two came off the bat swinging with their good action scenes that they incorporated, really well. I think Kaiju number 8 especially incorporated their action with the balance of humor and characterization of its characters. So I thought it was really solid. But yeah, anyway. And then my desire to read more was a 5 out of 5 stars. Like, literally, if I had had the second volume, you could not have stopped me. I needed to know. I needed to know what was going to happen. I can't explain why my need was stronger than others, but I needed to know. And I did in fact go home because I was not home. And when I got home, I read the rest of the volumes of Kaiju number 8 that I did have because, yeah, I wanted to know more. I'm not going to keep talking about how I felt the series continued after that. I'm just saying that my desire to read the next volume from volume 1 was so much so that when I did get home and had the ability to read the next volume, I did. So my stupid ass realized while editing this that I got so excited about how I wanted to read the next volume of Kaiju number 8 that I forgot to rate it on the overall qualities and likability of characters, plot, art. Overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5. So yeah, I really thought the characters were solid and likable, and art was clean. Plot wasn't like, the most creative or different thing out there, but it was still interesting. So yeah, sorry about that. And now we go back to the ranking, and I'm putting Kaiju number 8 in first place right now. But we have our last contender, Spy Family, and I gave Spy Family a 3 out of 5 in action. It's, it's not going to have those big battles. It's not going to have the shonen stakes. But, it had some good, solid little skirmishes, and I don't need every shonen to have big battles, so that's fine. And then we have My Desire to Read More. That was, again, a 3 out of 5. Would I read the next one on a lazy afternoon or evening, after I read the first volume? Sure, maybe I want to see, does Anya get in? Maybe I want to, have that kind of balance between slice of life and shonen. I do enjoy that it has that more aspect to it. It just gives you a more kind of relaxing read. Who knows what will happen in the future? But so far, that's the vibe I get. That leads me to the overall enjoyability, which I gave it a 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed the characters, the plot, and the art. I think all 3 of those things were the best. Like, yes, it didn't have much action, and My Desire to Read More was more like how I feel with a romance or a slice of life story. Like, yeah, I could read on, but I don't have to read on. But its characters were so good, like so interesting and fun, and just the premise of an assassin, a spy, and a mind-reading telepathic child living together. Like, I like it. And yeah, and the art's really solid, really nice to look at, and easy to read, easy to follow. I'm gonna have to just put it right behind Kaiju number 8. I feel like it's really well-rounded. It gave me great characters, great action, and a really interesting premise that it's like the full package for a shonen, what I want in a shonen. And that is my final lineup. Is it the same as you? If you've read all of them, all 5, let me know. Do you absolutely despise how I rated your favorite shonen? Let me know. Please be nice, though, I beg you. Oh my gosh. Like I said, this is seriously just purely my opinion, and I am only basing it on the first volume. Just reiterating. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree. But please keep it friendly. Please. And let me know if you want more ranking videos. Definitely, like, if you'd like to see more of this type of content with the reviewing and the ranking, let me know. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe and join the Ms. Manga family, where I talk about manga incessantly, at least once a week, every Monday. So I hope to see you next Monday. But for now, bye!